I'm Paul. This is Blackwater Honey Forge. It's May 16th and spring is finally here. It's been here for a while, but it really feels like it's finally here. And so it is queen rearing season and it is split season. Today is day number 1 of that process. Follow along.
This is Blackwater Honey Forge, named in part after the Blackwater River we live near in central New Hampshire, and in part after the master craftsmanship of honeybees. This is a place for learning, discussion, and to practice the art of beekeeping. Welcome to the journey. Be well and forge on.
So today's day number 1. I'm going to be setting up my cell builder for tomorrow's grafting. I'm going to go back with hive number 3, and assuming everything is right in the world and I can find the queen fine and everything in the hive looks appropriate for cell building, I'm going to go ahead and do that, use that one. And then on another side note, I'm going to be going through all of my other established hives today as well, and just getting rid of any old sugar syrup that's in them, because they weren't really drawing it down all that much, and I don't want stagnant syrup in there. And I made up a new batch, give them new stuff to draw on. I'm going to check on the 2 Walkaway splits that I did, see how they're doing. One of them has a lot of activity in the front entrance. One of them has almost none. But I very daringly have opened up the lid a couple of times without any protective gear on, and they're in there. Let's find out what they're doing. I've started setting up some of the boxes that I will be splitting into. I need to set up a lot more of those. I thought about using the Pro Nukes that I bought, but hear me out. I don't know if I'm going to do that, because I thought of setting up a Pro Nuke on top of the box there as a 5-frame Pro Nuke, and then eventually putting them into the 10-frame box, and they would be kind of oriented because the Pro Nuke would be on top of their hive. But all these hives have frame feeders, which can also act as division boards. So instead, what I'll be doing is when it is time to split, I'll be walking those hive boxes right over here, splitting 5 frames into the box that will be their future home, feeding up the feed that's right in there, and then I will have that frame feeder at the number 6 and 7 position. And then eventually, when they're ready to expand a little bit, I'll move that frame feeder back out to the outside position where I like it and bring those other 3 frames back in. So then they'll be right into an 8 frame right off the get-go, and then eventually they'll be getting a medium brood box on top. So enough of future jargon. Let's deal with today's jargon. Let's set up a cell builder. So when setting up my cell builder, I really just use the Bob Binny method. He probably got it from someone else, but I got it from him, so my credit goes to him. I have an old video from last year as well where I did this and actually got a 70% take on my cells, and then I messed up the timing and all of the queens except one died. Oops. But it's a cell builder, starter, and finisher in one hive. You start the cells down on the bottom, you finish them up on the top. There's some pieces of equipment that you use in the meantime. I'm probably not in this video. Maybe I'll explain that kind of in shorthand. Bob does a really good job presenting that, and I don't mind sending you his way. Now, we're just about pretty good on the smoker. I'll be cracking into this, and I'll be looking for the queen. That actually might take me a little while, so I'll probably spare you on the me looking for the queen part. Hopefully, I'll be able to give her a blue dress today. She is actually a blue dot queen, but I think when I was messing around with marking some queens last year, the only marker I had on me at the time was yellow. And so she's a yellow dot. I need to switch over to a blue. But I got to get to work. Let me get in this thing. I think they're mad. So in hive 3, I checked both boxes twice for the queen. I know I have one, but for the first time, yeah, I just cannot find her. There's eggs everywhere though. And I've been dealing with this the whole time, so even trying to look at the frames have been interesting. These ladies aren't happy. It's unfortunately getting later in the afternoon. It's not super late, but it's clearly later than they'd like me to be out here. So you know what? I made a different decision. I took the top box off and I made two Walkaway splits. I made sure that I split up brood young enough eggs for new queens and stores accordingly. There was enough in that top box. My hive number 3 has a phenomenal population and really good resources, and that is also indicative of the fact that though I'd love to make a cell builder, and maybe I'll continue to try with one of the other hives, I'm running out of time. It is just about swarm season. These hives are packed. There is drones everywhere. They're ready to go. And if I wait, I lose. So even if I have to make walkaway splits out of everybody and then requeen a couple hives here and there, then that's what I'll do. And so the whole setting up of the cell builder, not gonna happen today. I might actually try to split another hive here real quick for walkaways, and I don't mind walkaways that much. It's essentially they're doing the same thing that I'm doing with the cell builder, with the exception of once you move the bottom box up to the top, you're trying to mimic then supersedure cells, and then they're not emergency cells the whole time. Whether or not that's actually a thing, or you're just trying to fool yourself, I'm not sure. But yeah, these girls have been looking for any weakness. I'll tell you what, this man leg jacket's been holding up. My pants got a little close to one leg at one point. They got half a stinger through, but really not much. But I guess this is working bees. Pissy ones. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And then when you don't succeed again, try again. So I went over to hive number 1, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do some more walkaways with this one. And as I was splitting it up into the walkaways, of course, I found that queen pretty easily. So I just went ahead and brought her back over to the entrance at number 1 and just dropped her in. She walked right back in. So now I'm over at hive number 5. Great population, looked really good. Found Her Majesty pretty easily. She's dark. It's interesting on her genetics. I don't know if you'll be able to see that in there. She's dark. She's beautiful. I don't know. They're hard to see. Hard to see on camera anyway. So now I've gone ahead and I've put all my resources down in the bottom box, the frame, the dummy frame that I'm going to be pulling out tomorrow and putting in my graft frame after I graft. And I got the queen set off to the side. She doesn't need many resources up in this top box, which means now I get to take a whole bunch of bees and shake them down into this bottom box to pack it full of bees. That's why I put that shim on there. And then, of course, to separate them, I also have my double screen bottom board at the ready. Look at that. Tight packed. Good pollen frame, but I actually already have good food frames in there. So, get those girls in there. And I'm going to go ahead and shake about 4 or 5 of these frames in. This also gives me a good opportunity to scrape some propolis off of these frame rails. I'm trying not to put them right in the wells for the sugar feeder. As I've been going through these hives, the ones that I've opened, I did go ahead and dump out the sugar, just in case it is old, if it's a little bit fermented. I'd rather get some fresh stuff in place. Not a practice I do a ton of, because the sugar is not cheap. But if it's old and it hurts the bees, I don't want that to happen either. Good brood frame, actually. And there's enough population in here that I'm not worried about them not covering this brood. Plus, like I said, spring is here in full fashion, and the nighttime temperatures are pretty decent. High 40s, low 50s. Daytime temperatures up in the 70s. One day next week, it's actually going to be into the 80s. So we got some good temperatures, which is, like I said, this is the reason why I can't wait on this stuff. They're going to be swarming well before Well, they're going to be swarming when they want to swarm, not well before anything. But I don't want them to swarm at all. I most certainly don't want them to do it because I didn't do what I needed to do ahead of time. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your bees off. Shake your bees off. Some huge drum brood. Look at that. I made a little squiggle out of that one. Dandelions are in full effect out here right now. Everything else is starting to bloom as well. It's funny, today I took note of the black locust that's on my property, and so many other things are already blooming and giving off pollen and nectar. Black locust, at least in my part of the woods apparently, is slow to wake up because it barely even has leaves. The buds are just starting to show up. All right, this is going to be my last one of bees. I don't want to rob too much from them. It should be pretty good right there. I'm going to give you a really important lesson here in a moment. I always tell everybody I don't shy away from my mistakes. I'm pretty open about them, which means I'm pretty open about a lot of things because I make a ton of mistakes. Shim is on. A whole bunch of bees are in there. It's time for the double screen bottom board. I just have one 2-inch hole. Bob did mention put screen on both sides if you're making it yourself. That way the bees can't actually interact with one another. You don't want them trading the pheromones and thinking that this bottom box has queens. But there's a single entrance. You're going to face that away from the main entrance. That way the bees that are in the top box can still go outside and make use of things. Make sure when you put this on, the entrance is on the correct side for these bees to utilize, not on this side for these bees to utilize. Ask me how I know. Hey, look at that. And that shim is slippery. I do not like that. I'll probably put some tape on that. As much as I despise putting tape on things. Because coming out of winter this year, I used a lot of tape, and man, that crap was annoying as hell to pull off. All right, and the last thing, we don't want to leave the queen in a box, so we're going to go ahead and release her. She's like, no, mister, I don't want to go. It's pretty comfortable in here. Come on, there we go. Bye. Go ahead and put my cover back on, seat this thing up, and tomorrow I'll come out here, get some grafts going, open this back up, put those grafts on the bottom. 2 days later, I'll check those grafts for viability, and I will walk you guys through that process all along. Eventually then, I'll be going ahead and grabbing all of the queen cells that I'm guaranteed to make. And I'll be doing splits and dropping cells. So today is done for now. I bid you adieu. I will see you on the next portion. Good night. Day number 2 of setting up the cell builder and doing some other things in the apiary. I can already tell it's going to be an interesting day because as soon as I got out of my truck, I like to graft inside my truck, not in the open air. So I got the truck down here today. As soon as I got out, I already started getting dive bombed. I had to walk away from the bee yard and get the jacket on pretty quick. So they're still pretty grumpy from yesterday. So let's get to it. So as a quick note, the 2 hives, hive number 3 and hive number 1, that I did some walkaway splits off of yesterday. I don't actually want to leave them as a single brood chamber. I'm going to be turning them into a hive and a half. That'll help me into next year to make sure that I have the ability to get rid of the deeps altogether and just start running mediums. So what I did today is I'm going to be going ahead and I got my mediums in. They got a medium frame feeder. It's got a green drone comb in there. Now, none of these, they're heavy waxed, but they're not drawn. So, of course, I'm running a risk of, will they fill this box out in time in order for me to then put on my honey supers, which are drawn comb, and have them still make a crop. So I guess we're going to see. So I'm going to take care of this this quick chore real fast before I get to grafting. I also, yesterday, since I was losing daylight and losing time, I didn't get to check on my walkaways from the other week. So I'm going to be doing that as well. And we're going to see if they've got queen cells in there, which they should by now. They may be emerged, but I doubt it. They're probably still just very ripe. So let me get to this, then we'll get to grafting. These bees, I bet, are going to be very feisty because I'm going to need to go in and get rid of the frame feeder that's in there now, because I like having the frame feeder in the top box. It's just less work, less I have to crack open. Give them a healthy dose of smoke. Now this is the box, I don't even know where the queen ended up. She might have ended up in one of my walkaways. I'm telling you, they get alarm pheromone right away. So, and they are pretty loud, they are kind of roaring, so this might actually be one that needs the queen. So I'm going to go ahead and take out this frame feeder. And also, as I always forget, to silence my phone. Take out the frame feeder, silence the cell phone. Tell you one thing, this hive definitely does not lack for population. And even if this is the hive that needs to make a queen, I made sure they have a ton of resources in there right now. Ow! Yep, there's one. I like these pants because they're light, but the problem is they're also kind of tight-fitting. So the bees can get to me pretty quick. And right now they're pretty grumpy and have every intention of getting to me. Too deep drawn. That way they can just start working those and rocking and rolling. Give them not a shot of smoke. The wind's starting to pick up, as you can see. I barely even smoked them in that. Let's get the medium box on them. And then I'm just actually gonna, hopefully this goes okay, I'm gonna work on just transferring the SERP over to here. Oh yeah, working just fine. All right, set that aside. Get these girls covered back up and leave their angry asses alone for a long time. I probably won't check on them for 3 weeks anyway, because if they do need to make a queen and need to mate and all that jazz, I'm going to let them alone and let them do their thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I just did to box number 1 over there, and then I'm going to get to the grafting. So the next part of the process, pretty straightforward. This is hive number 5. This is the cell builder. I'm going to go ahead to the queen right side of this and find the appropriate age of eggs. I'm looking for 4-day-old eggs, which is day 1 of their larva state. The eggs have just fallen over. They've just hatched. So I'm looking for an appropriate age frame. I'm going to go ahead and brush all the bees off. I'm going to take that into the truck, and though I only need about 20 queens, I'm actually going to be grafting 30 cells and hope that the take is good. I'd rather end up with too many queens than not enough queens. So I'll go ahead and get to that process, find the right age, and get to work inside the truck. So I have a graft waiting for me in the truck. Way over there. I'm probably 200 feet already away from the apiary. I had to walk this far away just to get most of the bees to leave me alone. So that's definitely one of the things I'm going to be working on breeding for in the future, is more gentle bees. Because I can't have the family out here for walks and have the bees accosting people 200 feet away from the hives. All right, so here I am in the truck. Thankfully, no buzzing. I have no more attack of the bees. But I'm going to show you this frame here and what we're looking for the size of the larva. Hopefully I'll be able to focus and show you what's going on. So it might be really hard to see, but if I pan over this way, I get really, really young larvae in royal jelly right next to some eggs. So you look for that transition where the eggs have just fallen over and they've just hatched. And like I said, it might be really hard to see on this, but the youngest larva you can possibly find, usually right next to eggs that are just about to fall over. And I got options on both sides of this frame, so it's a really good one to graft from. And then, so I was just talking about how I need to make sure to select for a little bit more gentle bees, because I'm actually kind of glad that hive 3, that blue hive, didn't work out, and I ended up just splitting that off yesterday, because the hive that I'm splitting from today, I can go into that hive without half the bees coming out and smashing into my veil and letting me know that they do not want me there. Hive number 5 was definitely, at least compared to number 3, way more gentle. And by the way, I'll show this off here a little bit. They make a lot of these as far as little grafting benches or grafting stations. I made this out of plywood. Basically, it has 2 screws on the back that loop over the steering wheel, 2 screws in the front that hold the frame rest, and I just tacked on a little 1x3 here, which holds the cell bars. So pretty easy setup on that, and super cheap. So let's get to grafting. No way I'm going to be able to do that on camera, and it's not crazy exciting to see anyway. I'm putting little eggs in little cups. All right, 30 grafted cells. I tried to take a picture on macro, so I'll try to show you what that picture might look like. But obviously, teeny, teeny, tiny. Man, every time I do this, I forget. Well, it's only the second time I do this. I got to learn again how difficult this actually is. I had a couple of misfires where the larva gets rolled or it won't come off the Chinese grafting tool, so you have to just kind of scrap that one and go again and mess with the tip on it and everything else. But I did read, or excuse me, on YouTube, I did get a really good set of advice to keep from getting a lot of webbing comb. If you're not going to be using all of the bars on a frame, make sure you use the bottom ones. That way, if they do make any webbing, they'll do it up here, usually, and it won't interfere with the queen cells. So now, I just need to go ahead and get the frame that I used to get the cells, to get the larva. I need to get that frame back into this box. I'll move this box aside, and I'll get my my cell frame down below. A little bit of smoke coming out of there still. I'll have to resurrect that thing. So slide this back to home. I'm just going to keep this right on the double screen bottom board. I'm sure there's a ton of bees on the bottom of that. Gotta lift off my shim, which means removing this stupid tape, because the slim was slippery. Maybe I'll be able to save that and use it again. Get the shim out of here. these ladies a puff. Try not to get stung through the pants. So I put a P on the frame that I need to pull. And it was basically mostly undrawn frame, just to give them something to do if they wanted to. But one of the things I absolutely have to do in here is I have to go through all the frames and make sure that there's no emergency cells that they started. And usually there's going to be. And that's the problem with these lids. End up chasing them around. I do like them a lot. I like not having the solid inner cover. I do really like using the Reflectix, but man, on a breezy day, you're chasing it. But, as I was gonna say, check. You know what? I need to spin this. I need to move the whole damn ladder. They're literally flying out of that. Right into the back of my legs. That was a dumb placement on my part. Alright, bees. So, again, check for emergency cells. It's very, very likely that they made them. And the reason why you're gonna want to do that is because if they have emergency cells in here and then you throw in your graft frame, they still might grow in and draw out a whole bunch of your grafts. But the cell that they made first is going to emerge first. And then that virgin queen is going to go and tear down and murder all the cells that you're trying to make. That's not progress. That's the opposite of progress. So all good here. No emergency cells yet, which is good. And as I mentioned yesterday, the cell builder frame is going to be, the cell frame is going to be in between two really good food frames. Plus they have sugar syrup, plus they have some pollen patty. You want them to be packed with population. Yep, there's a queen cell right there. Wasn't charged. There's a couple on the bottom. Go ahead and pinch those too. So be thorough. Because it sucks to get at the end of this process and realize none of your cells are viable. Again, ask me how I know. Come on, ladies. Yeah, they get a couple on the bottom. Man, this box is packed, which it's supposed to be. I'm surprised it's not more emergency cells than I'm seeing. I've only had about 4. When I did this last year, in the matter of a day, they'd made 10, 13 of them. All right, perfect. Drones galore, which hopefully is a great thing for when I start doing mating flights for my girls. They say I do mating flights like I'm going to be out there. I'm not. I'm going to let them take care of it. All right. And here goes the magic. I will check on this in 2 days and see how they're doing with it. There you go. get this built back up. And then what's going to happen is, assuming there's a good amount of viable cells in 2 days' time, we're going to put this bottom box up on the top. We're going to separate it by a queen excluder. And that way all of these bees can then come up, the whole colony can come up to the top box and work these cells. They'll still have the queen excluder, so the existing queen won't be able to go in there and mess with these cells. But at that point, they're going to treat these cells. The concept is to treat the cells now as super seizure cells and not as emergency cells, and hopefully draw out nice, strong queen cells. Got an extra frame out of the mix. I'll just kind of leave this over here. There's nothing on it in any way. Like I said, that's kind of just an empty frame, a dummy frame. I'll go ahead and get the tape back on there, and then I'm going to run around and do some other things in this apiary. So I'm checking my second split here that I did back on 5/7, and I same thing with hive number 2. It was the same date that I did that. They have a charged queen cell in there, which is great. But there was still 2 double deeps on it, which they did not need. So I took off that top double deep, I condensed them down to a single double deep, and that'll help them monitor their space a little bit better in that hive. So we're gonna go open this one up, which has had less activity out of the front entrance. So I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna find in here. But whatever it is, we're gonna find it together. Little population of bees. 3 frames or so. Most of their feed is gone. Let's go ahead and see what's going on in here. I made sure when I split both these hives that they had young eggs to work with to make a queen. But at the moment, I have no queen cups. I do have a good amount of capped drone brood on this frame, but that could be left over from eggs that they had. Let's see what's going on here on the last frame that's populated. Definitely no queen cup on that either. Got a little bit of resource reserves on one side, some honey. So this one, at the moment, unfortunately, is hopelessly queenless. Now I could give them another frame of brood and eggs, which honestly I might do, because I could just give them a cell when I come back and finish up the cell builder over here. But at that point their population would have dwindled a little bit. There won't be an increase of population because they don't have a lot of capped brood in there. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to pop someone else, and I'll just reinforce this with a frame here and get them so that they can actually go ahead and make a queen for themselves. So that's exactly what I just did. I went into another strong hive. I took 2 frames out of there, one with good resources in it, food and pollen, and another one with a lot of larvae in all stages, including larvae that's young enough for them to make a new queen on. Now, it might sound like I'm robbing from the rich, which you're not supposed to do, right? You're supposed to rob from the poor and give to the rich in beekeeping. I just took from the rich a little bit and enhanced some of the poor. This is a split. I am trying to make splits this year. And the good thing is knocking the hive back a little bit that I took the resources from. Swarm season is like right now. They are going to start doing it. Resources are great. Weather is great. The drone count is all great. So if I can knock that hive back for a week give them more space to lay more eggs, to chill out, to pack more resources, and not feel as clustered, then I can knock back their swarm impulse as part of that as well. And in a week's time, when I'm ready to make some splits, I'm still going to be able to make 2 splits out of that hive anyway. So in this instance, to me, it's not a hard loss. It's just the moving of resources. That's all we're doing. And you know what? While we're out here on a beautiful day, let's make the most out of it. This is hive number 12. If you've seen some of my last few videos, hive number 12 was basically almost a dead out over the winter. I had a blue mark queen and a fistful of honeybees in that hive. And that was it. I did then what I just did now is I took some resources from some other hives and I reinforced this one. It's been going well enough that I've already put a medium box on them as well and turned them into a hive and a half, but I haven't opened it up in a while. So let's do that and see what's going on in here. I have a very, very large jumping spider. I have never seen a jumping spider this big. Come here. I want to show you off. Nope, nope. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on, be my buddy. Oh, fine. He or she is gone. They did not want to be my buddy. The jumping spider was the size of a dime. That was awesome. All right, so they're not working this top box at all. I can see that right away. That's fine. Maybe they don't have the population for that yet. The bottom box did look good, which is why I added this top box. But they got it properlized well, that's for sure. Good population down in here. I don't mind seeing this. Let's go ahead and see what we can find for larvae and eggs. While I have them open too, I'll give them a shot of sugar syrup as well. They still have some resources available to them, which is great. Yeah, they're definitely packing in some honey. That actually might even be left over from the winter. Still a ton of honey, a couple of queen cups. One of them is absolutely full of royal jelly. I can only assume that's a charged queen cup. And you know what? I don't mind seeing that. Because if that blue dot queen isn't up to snuff and the bees want to supersede her, have at it. I'm only looking super quick, so I have not seen the queen. I was really kind of focused more on eggs, which I'm really not seeing much of. And if you remember in one of my other videos too, they were really sparse anyway. There was some eggs, but it was very hit and miss. So again, if they want to supersede her, I am absolutely okay with that. Yeah, because I'm not really seeing much for eggs. I'm sure like before, there's probably one here and there. I mean, their population's still decent. It's larger than when I reinforced them. So they're doing something in here. Is this the frame with the cells on it? It is. I usually like to mark those, so I know where to look to make sure that everything went as it should later on. Oh, these grease markers. QC, queen cells. Because it's good to check those in a few weeks to make sure that they hatched, the queen got released, everything else. I'll put them all back together. They actually, unfortunately at this point, they actually really don't need that super. Or excuse me, the medium, because it's not a super, it's actually a brood chamber. You don't really need it, but I'm going to go ahead and put that back up there anyway. And hopefully they'll continue doing what they need to do. Oh, lest not forget, wanted to give them some sugar syrup. So, that's all I really needed to do out here in the yard today. I got the cell builder all set up. I'll be out here in 2 days to check the viability, show you what that looks like. And then it's a matter of next weekend, I'm gonna be making splits and dropping cells. They'll be kind of in that, they'll be a little bit before day 8. I mean, today's Sunday. So they'll be probably about day 7 after graft, which is kind of in that period where you're not really supposed to use them. You're not really supposed to move them. But unfortunately, the weekend is the time that I have to do these things. And so I'm going to be extra gentle, and they're going to be extra understanding, and we're going to build that bridge together. So you guys have a great spring. Half of you that might see this video probably already harvested your honey and are now in a dearth. But up here in New Hampshire, it's a little bit of a different story. But as always, be well, forge on.